Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at, we are done with the vocab that you see up here. So now we are going to move forward with our first read of nonfiction. So if you're working at home and you're working in the digital textbook, you can fill this in the digital textbook. But here in the classroom, we filled out the hard copy to this, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. But what I wanted to focus on here is what you need to be looking for as you do that first read. So it says apply these strategies as you conduct your first read. So think about the things that you notice. The general idea of the text. So what is this text about? Who does it involve? So thinking about that, who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are the things that you're going to notice as you're reading it, and that's going to help us when we go to that summary. Then for annotate, that's where we come back to the vocab. Okay, and I'll give you an example here in just a moment of how we're going to annotate in our books for the vocab. Remember, when we annotate, we physically mark in our book. And then those key passages that we want to revisit as well. Those are all things that can be potential sources, potential quotes from the text to support your argument. Then connect. So we think about the text connection. So text to text, text to self, text to world. So what connections are you making? Remember, when we connect to a text, or if we can connect to a text, we'll better understand it. It becomes part of us, all right, when we can make those connections. And then this last part, respond by completing that comprehension check. We're not actually going to be completing the comprehension check here. Instead, you're going to be writing a brief summary. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing, a brief summary. Now, in class, I gave you a bigger piece of paper than this, all right, for us to work on and take notes on. So let me get that a little bigger here. So it was the exact same thing. We were taking notes as we start reading. So what do we notice? Annotating those key passages, what connections we're making. And here is where we have our brief summary of the selection. So we crossed out that comprehension check. So if you were sitting in class with me today, we crossed that comprehension check out or off because we weren't going to focus on that yet. We were really focusing on those annotations in our textbook. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to bring our text over and we're going to look at some examples of how to annotate the text when we're looking for those connections that we can make, the vocab words, all of that. So when we started with ban the ban, and I'm just going to do that first paragraph because we did that first paragraph in class together. So it says, when Mayor Bloomberg implemented laws banning smoking in bars, parks, and restaurants, that made sense. Whether or not I agree, I understood the rationale because other people's health would inadvertently be impacted by the smoke. When he insisted on calorie counts being posted, I think many of us cringed, but again, it made sense. If you want to know how many calories something is before you indulge, it's now spelled out for you. On days when you feel like being especially naughty, you just don't look and order it anyway. That's what life is all about, isn't it? Choices, informed decisions. I respect being given information that enables me to make an informed decision. What I do not respect is having my civil liberties stripped away. Okay, so first thing I noted was the vocabulary word implemented. Now I also see over here on the side we have our definition of implemented, all right? But remember, we want to be able to put these in our own words. So another way we can think about implemented, okay, it means to start something. Or it could be to begin. So the important thing is that we're not just going with what they have on the dictionary, but that we can internalize it and put our own definition to it, put it in our own words. Because again, if we can do that, we're more likely to use that word in our writing. And remember, we want to grow our vocabulary so that our writing becomes better. And that's really that end all. We want our writing to be better so we can express our thoughts in the most appropriate and best way possible. So implemented is one of our vocab words, and we put it into our own words over here in the side. Now, as I keep going, all right, and it starts talking about the calorie counts. So when he insisted on calorie counts being posted, we cringed, but it made sense. Okay, it is spelled out for you. Now with these in the margins here, this was a text connection. In fact, it was a text-to-self connection that I had. So I shared in class that McDonald's displays the calories on their menu. Okay, and then I also shared in class that I remember when McDonald's didn't share their calories, all right, before the health conscious minds came around. They didn't. It was just you got a Big Mac and you put all those calories in and you didn't really care. And now they have those out for the more health conscious people when that law passed. So again, there was another connection that we made, and some students wrote in there, Mrs. Line remembers when there weren't calorie counts on the menus. Okay. Then I highlighted that last sentence. What I do not respect is having my civil liberties stripped away. Okay. And for this annotation, this is the author's claim. It's their opinion. Okay. And so those are just 3 connections that I made, 3 annotations that I made. Remember, we annotate. When we annotate, we are writing in the margins, we're thinking about our reading, and this is what you were doing for our first read. You were making those connections, like I made that text connection. We are annotating, looking at the vocabulary, okay? And then one last thing that we are looking at is that who, what, when, where, why, and how. And right here at the beginning, we see Mayor Bloomberg. Okay, and this is who. Okay, so who the argument is focusing on. All right, and then later on, and you could even see up here in that background, the where is New York City. Okay, so this could be that where. All right, so where this is taking place. So we've got Mayor Bloomberg, we've got New York City. When we're thinking about what do we notice about it, we've got our vocabulary, putting it into our own words. We're making text connections. So all of those 3 little lines are those text connections, and then I have that claim. And that's going to help me write my summary later. So as we're thinking about our worksheet here, okay, our first read guide, what do I notice? What is this about? So the article are about the soda ban and if it is right. Okay, we can think of the who. So who is it about? Is Mayor Bloomberg. Our where is New York City. Okay, and these are things that we see right in that first paragraph and also in that background. Annotations. So here you would also mark just anything that jumped out at you. Okay. When we get down to the brief summary, oops, let me move my page up here. I've got our claim. And remember, I'm going to look at my text, so I might have to move this over to find my text. And that is, what I do not respect is having my civil liberties. So we'll say in ban the ban. Our author's claim is she does not want her civil liberties taken away. Okay, so this is how you're going to be filling this out. And remember, you're using this for both of the articles because we are comparing these two arguments. So ban the ban, and then so does a problem but. They are focusing on the same argument. So both are arguing that they are not for the ban, but they both are presenting it in different ways. Okay, so we're annotating the text to get our first read, to get just our initial thoughts on both of these, and we will explore how our authors are presenting their arguments in Thursday's lesson. Okay, so today we're just focusing on getting the information, kind of mapping it all out, annotating our text, getting our thoughts on paper, so that when we go back and really analyze and look at these two arguments and how the authors are presenting them, we'll just be better informed so we can make that better decision.